God bless you guys out there. Today is February 22nd. Welcome to T. Michael's House of Faith. Our goal is to build a trustworthy foundation in the Lord Jesus our God, helping each other's faith and conscious mind as well as taking on other people's burdens by being supportive and comforting in one another. The Lord is our author. We are non-professional. This is for educational purpose and not therapy. T. Michael's House of Faith does not associate with money. It is supported by the Lord Jesus our God, and no contributions are necessary. To seek wisdom from above. Hebrews 8:10. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for all shall know me, from least to greatest. Romans 12:7. Or ministry, let us wait on our ministering, or he that teaches on teaching. 1 John 2:27. But as for you, let the anointing that you have received from him abide in you, and so you have no need of anyone to teach you, for his anointing teaches you about everything, and it is the truth, and it is not a lie. And just as the anointing taught you, abide in him. James 1:5. But if anyone among you is in need of wisdom, let him petition God, who gives abundantly to all without reproach, and it shall be given to him. Matthew chapter 7, verse 7 and 8. Ask, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives, and whosoever seeks finds, and anyone who knocks it will be open. And by knocking you pray. So knocking on heaven's door. You pray. So God bless you guys out there. There's a couple of videos to go through here. I'll show you something here. We're gonna read out old Musk and voting. This is something and if I can't get that dumb glare, my one camera ain't working. Okay, there we go. Lame-o Americans. It is so funny. I can take a flight from Asia to Mexico, walk in your border, and vote for the next senator and president. And this was something I took a picture of a long time ago. Back when they voted Trump in. And if you remember the president of Brazil, he actually came out and said the reason why we got Trump voted in was for financial gain. Then they came back out and they changed it because AI, they can twist things around for them. And then now it says the reason why America voted Trump in was for financial gain. Well, that's a huge lie. He didn't give us financial gain the first time around. That ain't why we voted him back in. Biden, the clown, he screwed up so damn bad. Nobody knew what was coming after him. We said, well, Trump just sat there. He didn't do nothing horrible. We didn't expect this outcome to come from him. Not that I voted. I knew by then it was too late. But anyways, we're going to watch in this video. This video is really neat. And for some reason, my camera's all messed up over here. So I got two videos. It's going to be a little lengthy, but it's really interesting. This is the godfather of AI speaking again. So let's click over and see if we can get into it. What do we got here? Let's see if we can start here. I think I want closed captionings on. And hopefully you guys can see and hear that alright. Alright, so let's play.
I think they could, yes. Now, they'd be worried about retaliation. They'd be worried about other governments doing the same to them. Hopefully that would help keep it under control. They might also be worried about the virus spreading to their country.
Okay.
Then there's corrupting elections.
Okay.
So if you wanted to use AI to corrupt elections, a very effective thing is to be able to do targeted political advertisements where you know a lot about the person. So anybody who wanted to use AI for corrupting elections would try and get as much data as they could about everybody in the electorate. With that in mind, it's a bit worrying what Musk is doing at present in the States, going in and insisting on getting access to all these things that were very carefully siloed. The claim is it's to make things more efficient, but it's exactly what you would want if you intended to corrupt the next election.
How do you mean? Because you get all this data on the
You get all
populace.
this data on people.
Yeah.
You know how much they make, where they live. You know everything about them. Once you know that, it's very easy to manipulate them.
Because you can make an AI that...
You can send messages that they'll find very convincing, telling them not to vote, for example. So I have no reason other than common sense to think this, but I wouldn't be surprised if part of the motivation of getting all this data from American government sources is to corrupt elections. Another part might be that it's very nice training data for a big model.
But he would have to be taking that data from the government and feeding it into his...
Yes. And what they've done is turned off lots of the security controls, got rid of some of the organisation to protect against that.
So that's corrupting elections.
Okay. Then there's creating these two echo chambers by organisations like YouTube and Facebook, showing people things that will make them indignant. People love to be indignant.
Indignant as in angry? Or what does indignant mean?
Feeling I'm sort of angry but feeling righteous.
Okay.
So, for example, if you were to show me something that said, Trump did this crazy thing, here's a video of Trump doing this completely crazy thing, I would immediately click on it.
Yeah. Okay, so putting us in echo chambers and dividing us.
Yes, and that's the policy that YouTube and Facebook and others use for deciding what to show you next is causing that. If they had a policy of showing you balanced things, they wouldn't get so many clicks and they wouldn't be able to sell so many advertisements. And so it's basically the profit motive is saying, show them whatever will make them click. And what will make them click is things that are more and more extreme.
And that confirm my existing bias.
And that confirm my existing bias. So you're getting your biases confirmed all the time.
Further and further and further and further, which means you're driving away.
Which is now,
from people.
in the States, there's two communities that don't hardly talk to each other.
I'm not sure people realize that this is actually happening every time they open an app. But if you go on a TikTok or a YouTube or one of these big social networks, the algorithm, as you said, is designed to show you more of the things that you had interest in last time. So if you just play that out over 10 years, it's going to drive you further and further and further into whatever ideology or belief you have, and further away from nuance and common sense and parity, which is a pretty remarkable thing. Like, people don't know it's happening. They just open their phones and experience something and think this is the news or the experience everyone else is having.
Right. So basically, if you have a newspaper and everybody gets the same newspaper,
Yeah.
you get to see all sorts of things you weren't looking for. And you get a sense that if it's in the newspaper, it's an important thing or significant thing. But if you have your own news feed, my news feed on my iPhone, 3/4 of the stories are about AI. And I find it very hard to know if the whole world's talking about AI all the time or if it's just my news feed.
Okay, so driving me into my echo chambers, which is going to continue to divide us further and further. I'm actually noticing that the algorithms are becoming even more, tailored. And people might go, oh, that's great. But what it means is they're becoming even more personalized, which means that my reality is becoming even further from your reality.
Yeah, it's crazy. We don't have a shared reality anymore. I share reality with other people who watch the BBC and other BBC News and other people who read The Guardian and other people who read the New York Times. I have almost no shared reality with people who watch Fox News.
It's pretty,
It's worrisome.
Yeah.
Behind all this is the idea that these companies just want to make profit and they'll do whatever it takes to make more profit.
Because they have to.
They're legally obliged to do that.
So we almost can't blame the company, can we?
Well, capitalism's done very well for us. It's produced lots of goodies.
Yeah.
But you need to have it very well regulated. So what you really want is to have rules so that when some company is trying to make as much profit as possible, in order to make that profit, they have to do things that are good for people in general. not things that are bad for people in general. So once you get to a situation where in order to make more profit, the company starts doing things that are very bad for society, like showing you things that are more and more extreme, that's what regulations are for. So you need regulations with capitalism. Now, companies will always say regulations get in the way, make us less efficient, and that's true. The whole point of regulations is to stop them doing things to make profit that hurt society. And we need strong regulation.
Who's going to decide whether it hurts society or not? Because,
That's the job of politicians. Unfortunately, if the politicians are owned by the companies, that's not so good.
And also the politicians might not understand the technology. You've probably seen the Senate hearings where they wheel out, Mark Zuckerberg and these big tech CEOs. And it is quite embarrassing because they're asking the wrong questions.
Well, I've seen the video of the US Education Secretary talking about how they're going to get AI in the classrooms, except she thought it was called A1. She's actually there saying we're going to have all the kids interacting with A1.
There is a school system that's going to start making sure that first graders or even pre-Ks have A1 teaching, every year starting, that far down in the grades. And that's just that's a wonderful thing.
And these are the people that...
These are the people in charge.
Ultimately, the tech companies are in charge because they will outsmart.
The tech companies in the States now, at least a few weeks ago when I was there, they were running an advertisement about how it was very important not to regulate AI because it would hurt us in the competition with China.
Yeah. And that's a plausible argument, no?
Yes, it will. But you have to decide, do you want to compete with China by doing things that will do a lot of harm to your society? And you probably don't.
I guess they would say that it's not just China, it's Denmark and Australia and Canada and the UK.
They're not so worried about.
And Germany. But if they kneecap themselves with regulation, if they slowed themselves down, then the founders, the entrepreneurs, the investors are going to go invest.
I think calling it kneecapping is taking a particular point of view. It's taking the point of view that regulations are sort of very harmful. What you need to do is just constrain the big companies so that in order to make profit, they have to do things that are socially useful. Like Google search is a great example. That didn't need regulation because it just made information available to people. It was great. But then if you take YouTube, where it starts showing you adverts and showing you more and more extreme things, that needs regulation.
But we don't have the people to regulate it, as we've identified.
I think people know pretty well that particular problem of showing you more and more extreme things. That's a well-known problem that the politicians understand. They just need to get on and regulate it.
So that was the next point, which was that the algorithms are going to drive us further into our echo chambers.
Right.
What's next?
Lethal autonomous weapons.
Lethal autonomous weapons.
That means things that can kill you and make their own decision about whether to kill you.
Which is the great dream, I guess, of the military-industrial complex, of being able to create such weapons.
So the worst thing about them is big, powerful countries always have the ability to invade smaller, poorer countries. They're just more powerful. Mm-hmm. But if you do that using actual soldiers, you get bodies coming back in bags, and the relatives of the soldiers who were killed don't like it. So you get something like Vietnam. Mm-hmm. In the end, there's a lot of protest at home. If instead of bodies coming back in bags, it was dead robots, there'd be much less protest, and the military-industrial complex would like it much more, because robots are expensive. And suppose you had something that could get killed and was expensive to replace. That would be just great. Big countries can invade small countries much more easily because they don't have their soldiers being killed.
And the risk here is that these robots will malfunction, or they'll just be more...
No, that's even if the robots do exactly what the people who built the robots want them to do, the risk is that it's going to make big countries invade small countries more often.
More often, because they can.
Yeah, and it's not a nice thing to do.
So it brings down the friction of war.
It brings down the cost of doing an invasion.
Mm. And these machines will be smarter at warfare as well, so they'll be better.
Even when the machines aren't smarter. So the lethal autonomous weapons, they can make them now, and I think all the big defense departments are busy making them. Even if they're not smarter than people, they're still very nasty, scary things.
Because I'm thinking that, they could show just a picture, go get this guy,
Yeah.
and go take out anyone he's been texting, and this little wasp.
So 2 days ago, I was visiting a friend of mine in Sussex who had a drone that cost less than £200. And the drone went up. It took a good look at me, and then it could follow me through the woods. And it was very spooky having this drone. It was about 2 meters behind me. It was looking at me. And if I moved over there, it could just track me for £200. But it was already quite spooky.
Yeah, and I imagine there's, as you say, a race going on as we speak to who can build the most complex autonomous weapons. There is a risk, I often hear, that some of these things will combine and the cyber attack will release weapons.
Sure. You can get combinatorially many risks by combining these other risks. So, I mean, for example, you could get a super intelligent AI that decides to get rid of people. And the obvious way to do that is just to make one of these nasty viruses. If you made a virus that was very contagious, very lethal, and very slow, everybody would have it before they realized what was happening. I mean, I think if a superintelligence wanted to get rid of us, it would probably go for something biological like that wouldn't affect it.
Do you not think it could just very quickly turn us against each other? For example, it could send a warning on the nuclear systems in America that there's a nuclear bomb coming from Russia, or vice versa, and one retaliates.
Yeah, I mean, my basic view is there's so many ways in which a superintelligence could get rid of us. It's not worth speculating about them.
What is to stop
what
it?
you have to do is prevent it ever wanting to. That's what we should be doing research on. There's no way we're going to prevent it from... It's smarter than us, right? There's no way we're going to prevent it getting rid of us if it wants to. We're not used to thinking about things smarter than us. If you want to know what life's like when you're not the apex intelligence, ask a chicken.
Yeah, I was thinking about my dog Pablo, my French bulldog, this morning as I left home. He has no idea where I'm going. He has no idea what I do.
Right.
I can't even talk to him.
Yeah. And the intelligence gap will be like that.
So you're telling me that if I'm Pablo, my French bulldog, I need to figure out a way to make my owner not wipe me out.
Yeah. So we have one example of that, which is mothers and babies. Evolution put a lot of work into that. Mothers are smarter than babies, but
People that have lions as pets,
yes,
sometimes the lion is affectionate to its creator, but not to others.
yes. And we don't know whether these AIs... We simply don't know whether we can make them not want to take over and not want to hurt us.
Do you think we can? Do you think it's possible to train
I don't know.
superintelligence?
I don't think it's clear that we can. So I think it might be hopeless. But I also think we might be able to. And it'd be sort of crazy if people went extinct because we couldn't be bothered to try.
If that's even a possibility, how do you feel about your life's work? Because you were...
Yeah. It sort of takes the edge off it, doesn't it? Yeah. I mean, the idea is going to be wonderful in healthcare and wonderful in education and wonderful... I mean, it's going to make call centres much more efficient, though one worries a bit about what the people who are doing that job now do. It makes me sad. I don't feel particularly guilty about developing AI like 40 years ago because at that time we had no idea that this stuff was going to happen this fast. We thought we had plenty of time to worry about things like that. When you can't get the AI to do much and you want to get it to do a little bit more, you don't worry about this stupid little thing is going to take over from people. You just want it to be able to do a little bit more of the things people can do. It's not like I knowingly did something thinking, this might wipe us all out, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a bit sad that it's not just going to be something for good. So I feel I have a duty now to talk about the risks.
And if you could play it forward and you could go forward 30, 50 years and you found out that it led to the extinction of humanity, and if that does end up being the outcome.
Well, if you played it forward and it led to the extinction of humanity, I would use that to tell people, to tell their governments that we really have to work on how we're going to keep this stuff under control. I think we need people to tell governments that governments have to force the companies to use their resources to work on safety. And they're not doing much of that because you don't make profits that way.
One of your students we talked about earlier, Ilya?
Yep.
Ilya left OpenAI,
Yep.
and there was lots of conversation around the fact that he left because he had safety concerns.
Yes.
And he's gone on to set up a AI safety company.
Yes.
Why do you think he left?
I think he left because he had safety concerns.
Really?
I still have lunch with him from time to time.
Oh, okay.
His parents live in Toronto, and when he comes to Toronto, we have lunch together. He doesn't talk to me about what went on at OpenAI, so I have no inside information about that. But I know Ilya very well, and he is genuinely concerned with safety. So I think that's why he left.
Because he was one of the top people. I mean, he was
probably the most important person behind the development of ChatGPT. The early versions like GPT-2, he was very important in the development of that.
You know him personally, so you know his character.
Yes, he has a good moral compass. He's not like someone like Musk who has no moral compass.
Does Sam Altman have a good moral compass?
We'll see. I don't know Sam, so I don't want to comment on that.
But from what you've seen, are you concerned about the actions that they've taken? Because if you know Ilya, and Ilya's a good guy and he's left.
That will give you some insight, yes. It will give you some reason to believe that there's a problem there. And if you look at Sam's statements some years ago, he sort of happily said in one interview, this stuff will probably kill us all. That's not exactly what he said, but that's what it amounted to. Now he's saying you don't need to worry too much about it. And I suspect that's not driven by seeking after the truth. That's driven by seeking after money.
Is it money or is it power?
Yeah, I shouldn't have said money. It's some combination of those, yes.
Okay, I guess money's a proxy for power, but I've got a friend who's a billionaire and he is in those circles. And when I went to his house and had lunch with him one day, he knows lots of people in AI, building the biggest AI companies in the world. And he gave me a cautionary warning across his kitchen table in London, where he gave me an insight into the private conversations these people have, not the media interviews they do where they talk about safety and all these things, but actually what some of these individuals think is going to happen.
And what do they think is going to happen?
It's not what they say publicly.
No.
You know, one person who I shouldn't name, who is leading one of the biggest AI companies in the world, he told me that he knows this person very well, and he privately thinks that we're heading towards this kind of dystopian world where we have just huge amounts of free time, we don't work anymore, and this person doesn't really give a fuck about the harm that it's going to have on the world. And this person, who I'm referring to, is building one of the biggest AI companies in the world. And I then watch this person's interviews online.
Trying to figure out which of three people it is.
Yeah, well, it's one of those three people.
Okay.
And I watch this person's interviews online and I reflect on the conversation that my billionaire friend had with me, who knows him. And I go, fucking hell, this guy's lying publicly. Like, he's not telling the truth to the world. And that's haunted me a little bit. It's part of the reason I have so many conversations around AI on this podcast, because I'm like, I don't know if I think some of them are a little bit sadistic about power. And I think they like the idea that they will change the world, that they will be the one that fundamentally shifts the world.
I think Musk is clearly like that, right?
He's such a...
He doesn't really agree with him there, but yeah, that's a lot of information right there. It's, that media stuff that we got now, it's dividing us, like he said, and how Musk interfered with our election. Musk, he came out and he is so happy, jumping around. Things went his way. He gave the old Hitler sign. And that's start killing people off. Let's jump into this next video here. This one's pretty interesting. I think you guys might like this. This kind of gives a little explanation about spiritual warfare, but it doesn't say that. But if you pay close attention to what this guy says, it's pretty interesting. I'm going to skip ahead here. I don't remember. About 9:50. Close enough. This one, I don't think I need closed captionings, but let's play this out. Listen to this.
Several possibilities here. So number one, maybe you're in an awful job with awful office politics. Do you need to be at this job? Is the main thing you have to first ask yourself. And if you do need it, you need the job, and it's only this one person, then you have to go through a few steps. Number one, is it worth taking personally? What if I, not take the high road because I hate that phrase, but what if I say, it's not really worth it for me to get upset. It's better off in the long run to just act like, it didn't happen, and to end up getting the promotion on my own in a different way and proving myself that success is the best revenge, and how can I get there kind of thing. Ignoring him or her and what they did and only focusing on what you can do to get back, to get the promotion that you deserve. The third possibility is sticking it to this other person, which is always something that I think is something you might have to consider doing, right? Which is playing the game back at them. So when you're dealing with people who are unethical, like a Putin kind of type, where they're willing to do anything to get power and you're not, it's asymmetrical warfare. They have more options than you do, okay? This person that did that to you, they're going to do anything for power, and it puts you at a constant disadvantage. What do? You have to do what they have in warfare called a deterrent strategy. You have to show this person that you're not somebody you can mess with, that you're going to do something to hurt them, but it's controlled and it's a one-time thing. You're going to damage their reputation. You're going to spread some nasty rumor about them, but you don't have to feel like you're lowering yourself. It's just, I'm doing it one time to show them that from now on, you better not mess with me because, damn it, I've got a gun in my back pocket and I can use it. You can't just roll over because they're going to keep doing it to you time and again. So you've got three options and you've got to choose what's the best one. If you hate your job and you can't get around this person, quit. If you don't feel comfortable going the low road, and if you think it's a better strategy in the long term for you and your soul and your safety to simply focus on your job and get revenge that way, that's probably the best solution of all. But sometimes you need to have a shot across their bow to say, look, you can't attack me because if you do, there are going to be consequences to pay. If you do the option number 2 and you show that that they didn't affect you and you kind of act like it didn't matter sort of thing, but you still work hard and you're still doing your job, they're going to wonder like, that's pretty impressive. That's interesting. This person has self-control. And they're maybe going to be afraid of you in that sense by the composure that you show them. So everything depends on who you are, your nature, and the nature of this Machiavellian character that you're facing, But be alive to the moment and the circumstances and play for the long game. So sometimes the long game means showing that you can mean action because then they're going to leave you alone for the next couple of years. You have to take a big picture, especially if you're someone like me who studies history a lot. So there are always these moments in history of cycles of chaos and it could be caused in the past by a plague, by some terrible war that goes on, like the 100 Years' War in Europe, and there's a crisis of meaning in the world. But it goes on and on. It's a cycle that happens. And when people feel powerless and helpless, and there's all this chaos going around them, then they tend to be attracted to authoritarian figures, to easy solutions. They get much more irrational. They're much more likely to fall for cults and for belief systems that offer simple solutions and easy one-sentence answers, like "Make America Great Again" kind of thing, Wow, that's simple, it's easy. Yeah, we'll vote for that, right? So in moments of chaos and helplessness, people are going to grab for something that anchors them, that gives them a sense of meaning, right? But it's often something very, very dangerous. So we're in a moment like that right now, I think, around the world. It's not just the United States. And your political figures don't seem to be responding to you in any way. Like their actions, their talk doesn't lead to the kind of results that you want. So you're very prone to following what demagogues say, who offer you like easy solutions. If you're living in a time like that, and it's more dangerous now than in the past because of social media and because of memes and because of the viral effects that are sweeping through humanity, right? They didn't have that during the bubonic plague, during the 100 Years' War, during the French and Industrial Revolution, which was another period of incredible dramatic change in Europe at the turn of the 19th century, right? So they didn't have that, which adds to the brew and makes it much more dangerous. So having a longer view is to say, well, this is a moment of chaos, and I'm going to be in control of what I think and what I believe. So I'm going to have a degree of distrust of what people are telling me. I'm not going to get so emotional when people start saying, this is what's evil, this is what's wrong with the world. And to be very, very, very wary of people with simple solutions who say, if we just do this one thing, everything will be great. If we just add tariffs, if we just get rid of all the immigrants, America will be fabulous. These are fairy tales that are being peddled to you. I'm not trying to be political because the other side peddles their own kinds of fairy tales. Believe me, I understand that.
Gotta turn my mic on there. Yeah, so that's the truth. And if you read 2 Timothy chapter 3, 1 through 5, you'll see that we're in these timelines. So it's pretty interesting to see and hear and know. It says, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous. And covet is to want what somebody else has. And that's exactly what they did. They came to America taking what we had because they want what we had. Boosters, which is glorying, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to their parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection. And that's a narcissist. They don't have that. And that's what people are really becoming, showing the trades of. Truce breakers, false accusers, incontent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God. They're wanting the things inside this earth, like AI. They want to get AI put down in America, and it's taking up so much water and it's causing so much emissions, and that's why they're drilling for or taking over these other countries so they can have that oil, because they need all that oil, all that gas to run these turbines, and it's really polluting, causing a big pollution. That's why they got to get rid of your cars and get rid of you, because they need the water supply, and this water that goes in, it actually 80% of it evaporates. So they're just blowing nothing but water up into the air. So obviously that's going to have an effect on our Mother Nature, our storms and stuff like that, because you're putting a lot of humidity up in the air. Um, and the amount of electricity it takes. And they said, I was watching one video, they said every time you ask a question to AI, it's like a tablespoon of water. So just imagine everybody asking like 10 questions. That's millions, billions of tablespoons of water. And I have to look again, it's like 1 billion gallons of water that goes through this stuff. They use it for cooling, and it has to be drinking water. It can't just be seawater or ocean water or anything. It has to be drinkable water. So they're stealing all your drinkable water. So if you get rid of humans, You don't have to feed the cows or water the cows. You don't have to grow as much food and put as much water out there in the fields. So now you're stealing water from people. You get rid of people, now you get water, put AI inside your system. And of course, there's big problems with these places that they're doing this at. The vibration that comes from it because it's so loud, and the mental stuff that it's causing people that live by it, along the pollution that it's putting off, causing asthma and all sorts of other problems. But that's if you think people marching out in the street, it should be protesting against this AI and against all this electricity and all this wasted water and all this pollution they're building. And that's why they're going after and overtaking other countries. It's for their oil, for they can have more gas to run all these turbines. And this is just the start of it. I mean, imagine when they get the electric cars going. Imagine when you get all these electric robots going. They're going to have all that electricity. I mean, you can't produce that much electricity. You're going to have nuclear power plants everywhere. I mean, it's going to get crazy, but I guess we'll see how things go. And you really got to start thinking about putting a plan. Either it's going to take you or you got to take it. You know, like that last video said. And he said the second number 2 is the best option to go, and that's the way the Bible teaches us, you know. We're supposed to give. But you also got to kind of put your foot down with things, too. Not let things go too far. So, I hope you learned a lot from this. There's a lot more to get into it. Very interesting. A lot of news to take in. You can watch these videos, find them on YouTube. And that's what he was talking about, YouTube and Facebook and like that and stuff. It's a one-way track. If you get on there and you put in, like, I like cars, that's all it shows you is, like, cars and stuff about cars. You don't get this option like you go to the movie site and you can pick out different movies. You know, if you like horror, that's all it's going to give you is horror. And it's just a one-way street that it heads you down, and it keeps you blinded from what's all around you. And like I said, it's causing division between people and stuff. So open up your eyes, open up your ears, for you can see the truth that's going on out there. So stay good out there. Try to just buckle down, do what you can, help each other out. Like the Bible says, love one another. Do what you can for each other. And keep the peace. And now, till next time, God bless you guys all out there. Have a safe day.